In Activity 8, How Much Water?, students begin an experiment to see how their plants respond to varying amounts of water. Students learn from their experiment that both too little and too much water adversely affect a plant's health. From the kit, you will need Activity Sheet 8, planter trays with planter cups from Activity 7, and water sprinklers. You will also need to provide felt tip marker and tap water. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 8 for each student. Post the How Much Water chart where all students can see it. Fill the water sprinklers with water and have extra water available. Each team will need their planter trays with planter cups and a full water sprinkler. To begin Session 1, distribute the planter cups. Make sure to review with the class that plants need water in order to live. Ask students if water is good for plants. Would twice as much water be better? Students may be unsure. Then ask, how could you find out how much water is best for your plants? Students may suggest watering them different amounts and watching to see what happens. Show students the How Much Water chart and tell them you want some students to water their plants a lot, some to water their plants a little, and some to water their plants a medium amount. Help students decide how they will determine what constitutes a lot, a little, and a medium amount. Students will probably suggest that every day would be considered a lot, 2 or 3 times a week would be a medium amount of time, and that fewer than this would be considered a little. Remind students that they will not be able to water the plants on weekends. Decide which days each student will water their plants and write their names on the chart. For the next 3 weeks, students will follow this watering schedule. Make sure that each consists of 3 squeezes of the water sprinkler. Have the students count to 3 with each squeeze in order to regulate the length of each squeeze. If your classroom is particularly dry, have students water their plants an extra squeeze or 2 each time. Next, give each student a copy of Activity Sheet 8 and tell students to put X's in the chart on the activity sheet below each day when they will water their plants. Distribute a full water sprinkler to each team and have students water their plants. When they have finished Session 1, tell them to return their plants and the water sprinklers to their places in the classroom. Make sure to keep the How Much Water chart posted. Every day for the next 2 to 3 weeks, help students check their watering schedules and water their plants accordingly. Note that students of this age may be particularly sensitive to the death of their plant. If a student asks to water his or her plants more because they feel the plant needs more water, allow them to do so. To prepare for Session 2, each team will need their planter trays with planter cups. To begin Session 2, return the copies of Activity Sheet 8 to students. Give their planter trays with plants to each team of 4, and tell each student to circle the plant on the activity sheet that looks most like their plant, and discuss the differences in appearance. When all students have done this, show the class plants that were watered a medium amount and a little. Ask, what do you notice about the different groups of plants? Students should observe that the plants that have been watered only a little will look wilted, and that the plants that have been watered a lot may also look less optimal. Ask students, what does this show us about how much water plants need? Answers will vary depending upon the response of the plants in your classroom, but it is likely that students will see that plants do best when watered a medium amount. Decide as a class on the best watering schedule for the plants for the remainder of the activities. Note that wilted or waterlogged plants will probably regain their health after a few weeks on an optimal watering schedule. To conclude the activity, return the planter trays with plants to their place in the classroom. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science readers, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.